Hi, welcome back. I'm Jeremy with the Gillette Group, and today we're going to zoom in on Boone, North Carolina, the heart of the high country. So in this video, we're going to talk about some of the areas you can consider. We'll give you some of the market data that should be important to you. We'll talk about what types of homes are available in the high country, specifically in Boone. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have some clarity if Boone should be at the top of the list for you. All right, so first and foremost, Boone is a college town, and with that comes the energy of the college town, whether it's sports, concerts, events, people that come in to speak. It could be markets that come in. It is the hub of everything that relates to Boone. All right, so one thing about Boone, it is a four-season living kind of town. You do have really cool summers, and if it's too hot for you, I remember sitting one time, I was at the Ale House, which is now the Whistle Pig on Beach Mountain, and we were sitting there, my wife and I, and all of a sudden these two women came up and they're like, it's too hot in Boone. It was 82, just for FYI. Those of us from Florida that, primary in Florida, split time in the high country, we kind of laugh at that. But anyways, cool summers, fall foliage is absolutely spectacular. You do get snow in the wintertime. It's not, you're not going to get a ton of accumulation. It's going to be a few inches here and there, more commonly a dusting. But because of the elevation around it, you've got Apski nearby, and then you have Sugar Mountain and Beach Mountain, both of which, of course, all of them really big snow. So you do have skiing available to you. And then you have spring, which everything comes back to life. So it's a really cool place if you want to experience all the seasons. And to give you an idea, it is quite a mix of people that call Boone home. You do have your locals, of course, you have the students, you've got retirees, you've got a lot of second home buyers that split time. And to give you an idea, right downtown King Street, that's really where a lot of the shops, a lot of the restaurants, cafes, there's some breweries, such a walkable downtown area. Then as you get further out, there's pockets of different areas, of course, additional breweries. You've got a ton of restaurants. There's so much to do, whether it's cultural events, theater, concerts, sports. There's just so much to do in Boone. So who should Boone speak to? Really, it's that person that's looking for the balanced lifestyle. It's nature, it's cultural events, it's things to do, it's sports, it's dining, you name it, art. It's all available to you, or a short drive away. All right, so let's take a minute. Let's talk about some of the market stats. As of this filming, we are late October 2025. Average median price point's about $515,000. We're averaging about 75 days on market. We are seeing that climb, which is pretty common in most markets across the country. And you do have a really broad mix in and around Boone of everything from your log cabin with and without views, condos, townhomes. A lot of that is for people that are downsizing, student housing. And of course, you have your single families. As you get closer to King Street, and we're going to dive into this, we'll save that. We'll dive into that as we get into the kind of specific areas in and around Boone. So let's talk about the trends. We are seeing a slight uptick in prices. I should say slight. It's almost 5% year over year, which is pretty strong. And a big part of that is the growth of App State. So one of the original investing books I ever read talked about you should buy in university towns because they are historically growing, and more important for investors, they have typically outpaced the performance of other rental markets. So regardless, the trend is pretty favorable, especially those highly desirable properties, even further, especially those that have views. One thing to consider if you are looking at this through any sort of lens from an investing perspective, short-term rentals, they're really subject to all of the regulation in Boone specifically. So if you're even considering doing a rental, especially short-term rental, that is something that you're going to want to consider and have a conversation about. All right, so now let's talk about some of the areas. And we'll start with downtown. I'm really talking about the King Street area. It is super walkable, tons of shops, restaurants, all kinds of things to do, close to campus. So it's primarily a lot of smaller homes and then also condos. It's really for people that are looking for the energy of Boone and the access. All right, so another area you might want to consider is the Blowing Rock Road or kind of West Boone. It's a little further away, not far, super accessible, still close to all the shops, restaurants, dining, etc. But you do have more of a mix of single family homes. You do have some newer construction in that area. You do still have condos, townhomes. This could be a good area for somebody that wants a part-time residence in the high country close to Boone. All right, so the next area we're going to talk about is Seven Devils and Foscoe area. It's not technically Boone, but you're 15 minutes from Boone at tops. It has more of a resort feel. You're a little further away. It feels more secluded. secluded, you've got amazing views. You start to get into more of the cabin feel if that's something that you're looking for. And again, still super accessible. It's about halfway between Boone and Bannerell. And this area is especially attractive for those people looking for part-time, a little bit of seclusion, but still accessibility to Boone. Another area, and this is kind of if you went off the west end side of Boone, you get into Valley Crucis. This area is a little more rural, so if you're looking for more seclusion, more privacy, larger lots, this could be a really good area to consider. Again, it's not technically Boone. It is home to the original Mass General Store, so it's got locations now. There's one on King Street. There's one all the way down in Asheville. You have an annex or an outpost. It's really cool. If you haven't been, you want to make sure you visit the original Mass General Store. But again, if you're looking for something that's still relatively close, you're 15, 20 minutes tops into Boone. But again, a lot more private, great views again, and then really larger home sites and a huge mix of style, whether it's contemporary, more log home type construction, whatever you're looking for, we can dial it in. So another area you might want to consider is in and around the App Ski Mountain. You have some ski in and ski out potential. You've got some newer construction, older construction. You've got contemporary. You've got really modern homes. It's a good mix. So someone that's really focused on recreation, this could be a good one. It's also about halfway between Boone and then Blowing Off. So more broadly, let's talk about the type of homes that you can find in and around the Boone area. You're going to have your traditional single-family homes. You're going to have more of the mountain homes, which could include some of those wrap-around decks. You're going to have houses that have amazing views. You're going to have some that don't really have the views, but are just set in the woods. They feel almost like a tree house. You're going to have condos, townhomes. There's all kinds of things to consider. So depending on what you're looking for, we can help create a custom search. Just reach out to us and we'll get that going for you today. And I should add, there are actual communities that are like gated, tons of amenities, sports clubs, ATV trails, hiking, camping, all within the neighborhood. Amazing views. So if you're looking for that type of lifestyle, pickleball, tennis, swimming pools, that's also available. There's a lot of mountain clubs in and around Boone that you might want to consider as well. Now, there are some things that you're going to want to consider when you're thinking about buying in the high country in around Boone. The first one is going to be winter. Like you're going to get snow. You're going to have icy roads. So you might want to look into who does the snow plowing. Is it part of a POA or HOA if you're in a condo, townhome, or even a gated community? Is it supported by the town? How far out are you? Those are some things that you might want to consider as it relates to that. Another thing you want to consider is potentially cell service. So it can be super spotty in the mountains. I will share personally, we had Verizon, always thought it was like the best network. We struggled with Verizon in places in the mountains and recently switched to T-Mobile, and we've had a much better experience. But even as it relates to internet service, there's not always fiber or high speed available depending on where you buy. So you might want to look into Starlink as an option. It is super high speed. The latencies continue to improve. I saw recently, I think he was doing Starship launch and they put out like their 3rd generation satellite. It's going to only get better over time. And honestly, it's going to bring high-speed internet everywhere throughout the high country. So another consideration you're going to want to think about is, are there any zoning restrictions? It could be rental restrictions. So depending on what you want to do on the property, what you envision, or if you want to consider renting, you're going to really have to understand what those zoning requirements or restrictions are, so to make sure that you're in the right area and looking at the right properties. All right, and the last thing to consider could be seasonality. The spring and summer months in particular, super hot markets on the mountains. If you are considering buying, now is a really good time. Winter, ultimately, is a little bit slower. You might have more bargaining power. You might have a little room for negotiation. So if you're considering, I'd get going on it quickly. So that's it. That's Boone in a nutshell. It's a mix of energy, outdoor lifestyle. It has a little bit of everything depending on what you're looking for. Do you want to be close to campus, off campus, more rural, in town, you name it. Let's get the search going for you today. And heck, if you're interested, drop a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. But drop a comment. If there's an area you want to know more about, I'm going to be prioritizing what we're filming and what we're talking about based on the comments. So drop us a comment, like, please subscribe to the channel, share the videos with anyone that you know might be looking for property in the high country. My team and I would love to be of assistance.